Okay, everybody, welcome to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. We are in volume 19, Balak. And so the natural question would be, well, why? This isn't the week of Balak, this is the week of Devarim, which is the first portion of the fifth book. We finished the fourth book, Bamidbar, last week, and today we're starting tomorrow. This week has been the fifth book, the first portion, which we'll read tomorrow morning on Shabbat. So why aren't we reading the Zohar for Devarim? Which literally means things. That fifth book is a repetition of everything that's taken place in the first four books, and it's not all identical. So you got to ask yourself a question: if it's a repetition, then why bother? Isn't that duplication? And we know there's not as much as an extra letter or an extra crown on a letter in the Torah scroll, so there can't possibly be a duplication. But sometimes things show up in life and we don't really appreciate fully what it stands for, what's going on. And so there's deep significance to that fifth book. And the fact that there is no Zohar specific to the first book of Devarim, which is Deuteronomy. There is none. What our teachers teach us is that we read the section in Balak that's called the Yenuka. And so we're going to be doing that, and we're going to be at verse 47. So, as we do each week, let's invite in the lineage of the Rav and Karen and Michael, Rabbi Schlag, Rabbi Brandwein, the Ari HaKodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tafon, Rabbi Menzulai, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Tepsk, Rav Kolona Shapir Pia Setzna, the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai and all of the students, Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl, Yosef Tzadik, Joseph the Righteous in Shechem. We are one soul with him. And as we connect to these verses, we want to have a consciousness of connecting to the flawless universe and channeling in energy from the flawless universe, energy of healing for those we know who need healing, energy for assistance in their soul's elevation for those we know who've passed on. Also the energy of Ahavat Chinam, unconditional love, and also treating everyone with human decency, removal of negativity from our world, and also energy of protection from evil eye and evil speech. So we want to have that consciousness of that. We are in the 9 days, and by that I mean the first 9 days of the month of Leo, which are known to be energetically a very intense period of time. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just intense. Because of that level of intensity, negative things have occurred historically. And so our teachers and sages of blessed memory caution us that it's like we're walking on thin ice. Or the better analogy, I think, is the period of the 3 weeks is called Ben HaMitzarim, which is the narrows, which is another way of looking at the energies is very compressed and very intense. And so there's huge opportunity for slip up. How does that manifest? We're going to get triggered. We are really going to get triggered during the 3 weeks, but now in particular during the 9 days. There's just a very intense energy. Since it's Shabbat tonight, we get a reprieve from that. There's only celebration on Shabbat. There's only joy and happiness in Shabbat. In order to connect to the energy of Shabbat, which is the energy of the upper realm, that infuses our realm, it's the energy of the Garden of Eden. In order to connect to that, we observe different restrictions. Those restrictions aren't there to punish us. Those restrictions are there to assist us in connecting to the extra special energy and extra doses of soul that we receive on Shabbat. So even though we're in the midst of the 9 days, as we are approaching Shabbat, this energy of Shabbat is already beginning to infuse our world. Even though Shabbat starts technically with the lighting of the candles at like 18 minutes before sunset, at midday, which I don't know, it's probably close to 1 o'clock right now, at midday, the energy of Shabbat is already beginning to infuse our realm. I'm in New York right here. It's in New Jersey, actually. Midday is 1:02. So we're past that already in New York time. So we're already sent that already our realm is being infused by that energy of Shabbat, that extra special energy, that energy from the flawless universe, from the Garden of Eden. And we should really open our consciousness up to receive that, to feel that. Our day is changed, is changing as we approach sunset. And the more spiritually attuned we are, and the more spiritually attuned we become, doing all kinds of work that we do, the more connected we are to that energy. So that's the first opportunity we have today. We have that every Friday, of course. But okay, so can you still hear me? Okay, good. So anyone want to volunteer to read English for us today? Okay, thanks, Ron. So verse 46. Atu inu neshakuha b'cha Rabbi Yehuda b'amar Rabbi Shimon zaka'achu lakach zaka'a dara da bizchuta afilu yanuke deveirav inun tinarin ra ma'in takifin atat ime amar lon rabotaya b'matu minaychu la tishkachun al bari ela be'ena tava amrula zaka'achu lakach itata keshera itata b'rira mikol sh'ar nashim da kutrabichu barir chulakach ba'arim diglach al kol sha'ar nashin de alma. Now we're coming into the middle of a conversation that's going on between this child, who is a child prodigy, in that he is super elevated. He's a super elevated soul, which the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai have encountered. And in the context of this encounter, I mean, it's a very large section of the Zohar. All kinds of things go on. We're focusing on one particular situation that occurs between the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and this child, this Yanuka, this very, very elevated soul. Go ahead, Ron.
They approached and kissed him.
Okay, so first thing that happens is these students are approaching this child and kissing them. Why are they kissing him? It's a bizarre thing. And it's somewhat out of context because we haven't read what had happened up to this point. But what happened was the child shared some incredibly elevated concepts with this child. They were so overcome emotionally that they realized, what did they realize? Why would they kiss him? To just be nice? They could see how strong this individual's connection was to the light of the Creator. And you have to view it from that context, because otherwise you might view it in a way that just seems awkward, especially by today's standards. But that's not what was going on. What was going on was they realized it was a moment of tremendous revelation, revealment of light. And they saw that this child was so pure and such a pure channel that they were connecting with him on a spiritual level. And that's how it manifests. Go ahead.
Rabbi Yehuda cried and said, Rabbi Shimon, praised is your lot and praised is your generation, since because of your merit, even school children are high and mighty mountains.
It's an amazing idea. First of all, is Rabbi Shimon in the room when Rabbi Yehuda says that? I mean, to a certain degree, Rabbi Shimon is always in the room, but he wasn't physically on the trip with them, not at this point. So these students, Rabbi Yehuda was not with Rabbi Shimon. But just so we understand, just so we're clear, when you open up the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon is always with you. When we connect with the Zohar, we are connecting with the essence of Rabbi Shimon and all his students. So one of the most powerful aspects of connecting with the Zohar is that. Oh, now I see I'm full screen. So that's the first benefit that we're getting here is this connection to Rabbi Shimon and all of the students, and also the Yanuka. And what is Rabbi Yehuda essentially saying? Why is he calling out to Rabbi Shimon? Because Rabbi Yehuda realizes that the world is a different place when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is in it. The world was a different place. He was so elevated through all the work that he did that the world was literally a different place. And you can be like, that's amazing. And that's what Rabbi Yehuda is essentially saying. He's saying that Rabbi Shimon praises your lot and praises your generation. That was his generation. It was the generation of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Because even in this generation, even school children were high and mighty mountains, meaning were incredibly elevated souls. So why is that important for us? Because we're not in that generation. Au contraire, we're in the generation where Zohar studies now taking place all over the world. That wasn't going on 50 years ago, sorry to say. It was only going on in dark corners and in restricted places. Today, the study of Zohar is going on worldwide. And this is not the study of scholarship. It's not like we're next level in Shakespearean scholarship or some other kind of Shakespearean literature. That's not what we're talking about. This isn't about literature. This is about the channels that are available to us to manifest greater understanding in the world, greater respect in the world, more peace in the world, more healing in the world. And it's especially important during these 9 days because the 9 days culminate on the 9th of Leo, the 9th of Av. It's the most intense day of the year. And on that day, both temples were destroyed. And why do our sages of blessed memory and the Talmud tell us that the temples were destroyed on the 9th day of Av? Because of sinat chinam, because of baseless hatred. And that's why every time we conduct a study, we're connecting to ahavat chinam, unconditional love, as opposed to baseless hatred. So that is a tremendous opportunity we have to change the energetic frequencies of the world in which we are in. And we get that through the Zohar. And there are plenty of other places we get it too. But the most powerful thing that we have the opportunity to do, which is right now, is connect to the Zohar and channel that energy for the world. And it's especially opportune this week because this Wednesday night, Thursday is the 9th of Av. And so what we're doing now and what we do as Shabbat is giving us the opportunity. Shabbat is always giving us the opportunity to have the best week that follows. It's like we're recharging our spiritual batteries on Shabbat. And so everything we do on Shabbat is geared for that week. And this is a special Shabbat because it's the Shabbat. They're all special, but in this particular one, it precedes the 9th of Av, the most intense day of the year. Okay, let's continue.
His mother approached and said to them, "My teacher, I beg of you, look at my son only with a benevolent eye."
Why did she say that? So mom's there, the child's there, and the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had come for a visit. They realized that he is this outrageously elevated and powerful soul, powerful channel. And so she goes to them and says, please only look at him with a benevolent eye. Do you think that she thought maybe they might be jealous?
No, David, what I remember from the earlier paragraphs that we didn't read, right, was the child was a bit petulant, right? He said to them, they hadn't washed their hands and done the prayers and whatnot. So he was, not rude to them, but you know what I'm saying? So I think
he was very confrontational.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's all true. That's all true. And that might be contributing to this, but I want to put that aside for a second. You're right. And I want us to think of it in a different way. When we see someone who has something that we don't have, what is the natural reaction? I want that too. And that is the basis of evil eye. And that's what this section is actually about, as we'll see. And what is this concept of evil eye? And why is it important? Let's read on.
They said to her, "Praised is your lot, worthy woman. You are a distinguished woman above all other women. Since the Holy One, blessed be He, chose your lot and raised your banner over all other women of the world."
Where's the banner? Is it on the front door? Is it on the front door? The front, on a, like a flagpole at the front door? What does that mean? What they're saying is that for you to have had a child with this amount of elevation is an incredible testament to how elevated you are. I mean, by the way, it's a non-responsive answer, right? She's saying, please look at my child with the middle eye. And they're like, you're amazing. That wasn't what she asked them to do. Put that question aside for a second. It's like, why are they praising her? Why are they praising her so much? Are they just trying to sweeten her up with compliments so she'll calm down? I mean, that would be like a normal human reaction. You see someone is like, is feeling threatened, like, oh no, you're amazing. I mean, at some level, maybe that's what they're saying, but it's not really responsive. She's talking about her son. They're not talking about her son, but they are talking about her son in an indirect way. Part of the evil eye thing is you have to be careful with compliments. Like they are seeing it's like it's an indirect compliment to the child. What they're saying to her is, you are super amazing because of the child that you have. So in a sense, they are addressing it, but not directly. This is why we have to navigate our lives with such a delicate way, because we never really know what's going on. And in the power of our words is tremendous. We look at words, we throw them around. But words are our way of injecting energy into the physical realm. It's like we have thought, like the level of Keter, and then we have our mouth, manifestation. Upper realm, lower realm. Like everything you say is coming from seed level. If you're thinking positive thoughts, you manifest positive energy. If you're thinking negative thoughts, you manifest negative energy. What is our consciousness behind the things that we say? What is our consciousness behind the things that we look at?
David,
yes.
Can you say a little bit more about what you said? Can you be like you have to be careful with compliments with regards to evil eye? Yeah,
because first of all, somebody's compliments are like, you're saying it, but you don't mean it.
Okay.
You just said trying to, but it's like there's an agenda there. I mean, this is a self-check that if you are agendized in providing a compliment, you are providing a compliment. They may even take it that way, but that's not what you're injecting into the world. That's happening at a level of like personal integrity. We want to be able to speak our truth all the time. When we are speaking our truth, when we are aligned with our soul's purpose, we're injecting positivity into the world. That's what by the way, it's one of the powers of what we're doing right now. There's very few vehicles more powerful than the Zohar itself. By us studying the Zohar and unpacking it and doing like self-check about what our motivations are, what our agenda are, we are injecting positive energy into the world. So it's about like, where am I coming from? I had an experience this past week where someone sent me a very critical text message, and I wrote 3 versions before responding, because the first 2 were so laden with negativity. I mean, I was doing the best I could, but not such a great job. apparently. It was not until the third version that I really felt that I was mostly free of whatever reactivity I had. So I could respond in a more positive way, in a way where I felt there was an alignment and integrity. And what do I mean by integrity? I mean me aligning with my soul. What would my soul want me to say? And it's never perfect because it's always coming through body consciousness. We have agenda in everything we do. You're not going to remove your agenda. Your soul doesn't have agenda. Your soul has the agenda to manifest your soul, to manifest the purest spark of the creator that's within us. But like it gets corrupted by physicality. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Is it like kind of like being sincere? You know, like you're like, oh, you're just like kind of like nice at face value, but like you know, like you don't really feel that way deep down. Like you
I
ever
don't
like
know what I did. I don't know what I'm doing, but
you know, like in like people say in the Midwest, we're the most sincere people, but like you know, behind closed doors, we talk you talk about
No, like it happens.
about you behind your back.
It happens. Just can everyone make sure, I mean, Ron's talking, could you ever make sure that you're muted unless you really have something to contribute? That would be great. So there's not as much background noise. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, sincerity is another way of expressing it, you know, but as we're going to see as we read on, it's more than just the things that we say in social settings. Let's continue. 47. Amar Yanuka, Ana la mistapena me'ena bisha. Devar nuna raba v'yakira ana. The nuna la dachil me'ena bisha. Dichtiv v'yidgu larov b'kerv haaretz. Ma larov la'asga'a al ena. The tanenan ma dagim the yama maya chape al lehon. V'leit ena bisha v'gomer. Larov bade b'kerv haaretz v'go b'nei enasha al ar'a. Amru bara malachad Hashem led bana ena bisha la misitra de ena bisha atena the kuchabrichu chape alach the gadpo.
The child said, I am not afraid of the evil eye, since I am a son of a great and worthy fish. And a fish has no fear from the evil eye, as it is written, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth.
Okay, so the two students, the students of Rabbi Shimon are amazed. Rabbi Huda and is amazed about the elevation of the child, and the mom's worried about an evil eye. Phyllis, can you hear me?
No.
You know, on my iPad, I can't seem to mute her. Well, now she's muted. Okay. In this context, the mom is afraid of evil eye. That's why she's asking me, you know, to look at her son with a benevolent eye. I mean, she's wise to the ways of the world. She's wise to this idea that when you look at something with a less than benevolent eye, you are, what is it? I mean, what's the problem with evil eye? It's taking. You're taking energy. And so, Phyllis, can you hear me? Can you mute because there's background noise coming in? Okay, so there we go. So that's what we're talking about here. And the child says he's not afraid of evil eye. Why is he not afraid of evil eye? Why would he not be afraid of evil eye? So an additional significant benefit to us in the context of this section is the child is sharing with us, the Yanuka is sharing with us that he is protected from evil eye. And so one of the things that we're gaining is also this protection from evil eye. And as I was saying before, one of the aspects of evil eye is when it's not like you wish negative on somebody, that's an aspect of evil eye. It's this energy of envy. So an example of that might be, you're sitting in a restaurant and you see the most amazing looking ice cream sundae go by, and you're like, oh my God, look at that ice cream sundae. That looks amazing. When you do that, you're taking energy. You literally that's what evil eye is. We're in a position of taking, as opposed to the energy of giving. So it's not just looking at something and saying something negative or thinking something negative. That's also evil eye. It's also looking at something and wanting it. If I do, I am taking from that. So another benefit, huge benefit that we're getting from this is, envy is only okay, our teachers teach us, when it's like, I'm envious, I want to grow in my spirituality and in aspects of my own spiritual growth. When I see someone who I see is elevated, and I then want to be, growing like they're growing, that's okay. But beyond that, it's potentially evil eye, and that is our taking from something or someone else. Now, there's protection from that. So let's read on.
What is multitude? That includes also the eye, meaning to say that no harm shall befall them due to the evil eye.
Okay, so again, as I said, and the Rav Ashlag is pointing out here, this is about protection from evil eye, from the envious looks and envious thoughts of the people that we encounter. And keep in mind, you may know people that are negative in this way. And if you do, you probably hopefully you create boundaries around that. But we don't know what's lurking in the minds of everybody we encounter. We just don't know. And so part of what we're getting here is protection from the things that we even don't know about. Go ahead.
We were taught, just like fish in the sea, that the water acts as a cover for them, and no evil eye has an effect on them. So the evil eye will have no power over them.
Okay, so this is an amazing idea. What is it about the fish and evil eye? What is it about the water and evil eye? What does fish have to do with evil eye? What do fish in the sea have to do with evil eye? They have that hamsa, there's that hamsa thing, that piece of jewelry that's sold in different places. It's known to be very Kabbalistic, and it's like, it's a hand with an eye in the middle. It's supposed to be protection from evil eye. Sometimes I've seen it in the shape of a fish. This section is telling us that there's a relationship between fish of the sea and evil eye. Yes, Peter.
Well, two things, right? Isn't the fish a connection to the sadiq, because many of them come back in a form of the fish so that we can eat them on Shabbat? And isn't the water, and then the second, these are questions, right? And isn't the second
so I just
water
want to guess that one. Let me guess that one. I'm not sure about the whole tzaddik thing. That may be, I don't know about that, but no question, like Shabbat evening, we always have fish to connect to that energy.
It's our teachers that have said the comment that it's the tzaddiks that have chosen.
So, and by the way, all the food that we eat on Shabbat is infused with energy to assist us.
Okay.
But you're like, wait a second, I went to the supermarket and I picked out that fish and I picked out that chicken, and you're telling me I picked them out. They didn't pick me. They didn't swim over to my boat and jump on. Like, I picked them. How could they be there? That's the way the world works. We think we had the choice. But the deeper reality is, it was destined that fish, that chicken, would end up on our Shabbat table. Peter, good. I'm sorry. The second
No,
one.
that's
the
okay.
second point?
No, it was, so is the water is acting as mercy, right? So the water is,
Yes.
it's a barrier, or however you want to say it. It's the protective shield, right?
Yes. So yeah, that's very good. So I had the benefit of actually reading a class that Eitan Yardeni, one of the senior students, gave on this topic. So yes, the water is a manifestation of mercy. We need to talk about that. What does that mean? And the fish is surrounded by mercy. So, but he also points out something else, Eitan does, and that is that fish are like one of the only beings that don't blink. Like their eyes are open all the time. Oh, so there's a unique aspect of his eyes that the fish have.
I was gonna
And
say something about that, but I'm like, that's too out there. But that's so cool.
you would think that's like one of the dominant features of a fish, other than that they're surrounded by water, is they don't blink.
So can they,
Like we
if
did.
they want to like, make an advance to their partner or something, can they wink at them?
I don't know. It's a great question. I'm not so up on the mating habits of the fish kingdom.
Wait, my wife just said they also don't have peripheral vision,
They run into things because
which is a fact, right?
Right. Well, maybe that's why they have two eyes on each side of their head.
Right.
That's all
I
they
think
can
that's
see.
right.
but I can't.
Yeah. So that's so interesting. So, to a certain degree, it's like going through life with blinders on.
Wait, David, you just said, wait, it's really interesting, right? The fish do this, the eyes are offset, right? I don't think they look straight ahead, right?
No.
I don't think they do either. Looking side, they're looking, they're on the sides of. So
what does that
Eitan
mean?
I'm not sure. I have to think about that. What Eitan says is the following: what is the deal with water? It is the fish, but it's also the water. What's the deal with water? Everything that we encounter in the physical world is coming from the upper realm. Everything, without exception. Everything we encounter in the physical realm is 1% of its full reality. And that's the world in which we live. This is the 1% realm. Where's the other 99%? In the upper realm, in the flawless universe. And water carries these attributes of mercy. And so what the Zohar is telling us, but what the Yanuka is telling us, is when he says he is like, since I am a son of a great and worthy fish, and fish have no fear from the evil eye. What he's telling us, by the way, who is it? We know that his father was Rav Hamnuna Saba, a very, very elevated sage at the time, who shows up in the Zohar even after passing, shows up all the time. But what the Yanuka is telling us is that when you surround yourself with mercy, you gain protection from evil eye. And that's perhaps one of the biggest takeaways of this particular section of the Zohar and of our study today. So what does it mean to be surrounding yourself with mercy? Anyone want to take a stab at that? Roshin? Please, just unmute yourself.
Yeah, it strikes me that to be surrounded by mercy, you have to be connected to it
Yes.
consciously.
Yes, consciously. So how do we consciously connect to mercy?
Well, we have practices like reading the Zohar, like learning the
Yes,
Hebrew letters, like learning
yes.
the energy of
All
them.
these things assist us in growing spiritually and connecting to the energy of mercy. But in terms of consciousness, what do I need to think about? Ron?
Other people, like
Okay.
sharing like that, thinking of other
Okay,
people.
that's good. That's good. Yes. Anyone else? Phyllis, are you raising your hand?
Being compassionate.
Yes. Totally. Again, in our dealings with other people, being compassionate. Anything else come to mind for you?
Well, I was also thinking about that it's kind of like going away, and I'm trying to hold on to call it back. Seeing the light in everything,
Right. Oh,
seeing
that's great.
the positive. Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, and that kind of goes to this idea that if you encounter someone, no matter how negative they are, we have to remind ourselves that they have the same spark of the creator that I have. They have the same spark of perfection within them. They came here to remove those blockages. And we see the blockages, but they don't see the blockages. That's one of the biggest teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. It's like, we don't see our blockages, our negativity, our self-centeredness, but we see it in others. We're all blinded to the things that we are really here to work on. So how does the universe assist us in seeing those things? By seeing the blockages that other people have. And what the Baal Shem Tov teaches is that if you see some aspect of negativity in people you encounter, you have to open yourself up to the possibility that the reason why you're seeing it is because you have it. There's an old line that someone reminded me of this week. You spot it, you got it.
What was that?
You spot it, you got it.
Gotcha.
Like what? Like if I see someone acting in a certain way, now it's never going to be identical. It gets refracted through physicality. But if I see some negative, there's an aspect of that negativity that I can see because I have it, but I don't see it in myself. So the universe reflects it back to us. In other words, like I'm doing right now a Kabbalah 1 class workshop, and it's like I'm one of the topics that we discussed this week. Well, the overall topic was, change your consciousness, change your world, change your life. You want to change your world, change your consciousness. And so it's this aspect of looking at the world in a different way. When I have an interaction with somebody, we interact. Two people come and they interact. They have their movie, I have mine. My movie's not about them. So they come and they do something negative. That's their story. The question is, why is it in my movie? I am seeing their negativity. Why is that in my movie? It's there because the universe is trying to help me to spot the things that are in my blind spot. They're back here. I don't see them. To spot the things that are hidden from me, the aspects of my soul, the blockages on my soul that I'm here to reveal, that I'm here to fully manifest so I can show up as the best version of myself. That's why I'm here. I just don't remember the deal I made with the creator when I came here, because that would be too easy. So how do I get reminded by the universe, by the creator, about what I'm here? It's my life experience. It's the things that are happening to me. It's a phone call that you have. It's the snide comment that someone makes to you. It's the rudeness of somebody else. It's the challenge in this situation, the challenge in that situation. It's all coming from the light. The light is in every single thing that we encounter. And it's so difficult for us to open our consciousness up to that. And so, yes, question. Yes.
Yeah, just a very quick question. That if somebody tells you a story that's about their family, and you're thinking, why are they telling me this? Like sometimes it's really out of the blue that somebody's talking to you and they suddenly tell you this bizarre story about some drama going on in their family. And it's connecting the dots, like, wait a minute, have I seen this before in my family? Have I done this to cause that to that person? you know,
It's showing up for a reason. It's so not easy to know. It's not easy to know. But if you approach every encounter with this idea that there's something in this for me, you enhance the likelihood that you're going to see it. I had, by the way, part of this very harsh text that I got was a criticism of how I've been very involved in education in my life. Is one aspect of the work I've done in education. They were critical of it. Thursday morning of this week, some unrelated person said something to me about the educational system that was directly on point to the thing that I had been received criticism about. And I had to say, I didn't realize it right away. Hours later, I'm like, oh my God, he just said that to me this morning. And I realized that had come to me from the universe to support this idea that I have been working on. So and I didn't realize it right away. You would have thought, I could go into detail and read all the time. You would have thought it would have been obvious. It's not so obvious because we're going about our day and there's a million distractions. So the more we show up in mercy, connected to mercy, by giving people the benefit of the doubt, by not judging them for even the way they judge us. Like, I know I'm being judged. I still don't want to judge that person, the judgment I'm receiving, because I am showing up connected to mercy, giving people the benefit of the doubt, understanding that these things are happening to help me navigate my soul's journey. The more we surround ourselves and consciously connect to the energy of mercy in all our encounters, the more protection we receive from the evil eye that we encounter. Okay, we're out of time. Thank you all. Love you all. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat
And
shalom,
thank you,
David,
Maureen.
everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Shabbat
Bye-bye.
shalom.